Hey guys, welcome to Bipolar Boxing Picks. My name's Nick. We're going to get into the Day of Reckoning predictions here. We got AJ versus Otto Wallin, Anthony Joshua versus Otto Wallin, and this is the main event. I believe it's an early start time for that card. It's like 11 o'clock Eastern time here in the United States. So it's going to be a nice thing to do right in the middle of a Saturday. There's going to be UFC on later that night, I'm pretty sure. But yeah, this is a good fight. Everyone's shitting on this card just because AJ and Wilder aren't fighting. But I mean, outside of that, outside of either one of those guys fighting Usyk or Fury, these are two really good fights for the main event and co-main. And especially this one here because Otto Wallin's he's a tricky southpaw. And it's like if you got a big fight coming up, because let's just assume that if Wilder and AJ win, they're going to fight each other. Like, why the hell are you risking it on a guy like Otto Wallin, where it's like it's such high risk and no reward whatsoever? And I don't think people rate Otto Wallin that high. I mean, he's a fringe top 10 guy, but there's other guys out there in the top 10 that would have been much easier than Otto Wallin, in my opinion, or in the fringe top 15 guys who it's just like, you really don't have to fight anybody if you're AJ. You could just put a body in there. Most of the people that are going to be watching this fight are not boxing fans. The people that are going to support this fight are not boxing fans. They are just there to see AJ win and to see Josh and to see Wilder win. It's all they really don't. They don't care. They don't need to know about who their opponents are. So I mean, at least I give it to both these guys for fighting halfway decent competition, on this card. And Otto Wallin, he's a tricky southpaw. And he got his best win of his career, in my opinion, in his last fight against Gassiev. It was a close fight, split decision. But I had Otto Wallin winning that pretty clearly on my cards. But I think I scored it wider than any of the judges did. But I had Otto Wallin winning that fight, and he was an underdog in that fight. He was an underdog going into that fight. I think he was like, it might have been 3-1 or something like that in favor of Gassiev. But because Gassiev's a little dude. But I mean, still, like, he outboxed a smaller, faster guy. So if you like Otto Wallin or you're just a AJ hater, like there's easy points to make out there as to why Otto Wallin can win. His path to victory is just to win, and I think if he wins wide. If he wins, it's going to be because he's a tricky southpaw, and AJ's not going to be able to figure him out. He couldn't figure Usyk out in 2 fights. I'm not trying to compare the two, but I mean, it's kind of the only thing we got to go against as far as AJ facing a guy like Otto Wallin. But on the other hand, Otto Wallin hasn't faced anything close to Anthony Joshua. Like I said, his last fight was his best win, and that was against Gassiev. Gassiev's a little dude. He didn't look like he belonged in the heavyweight division, and he was still on his back foot. Otto Wallin was pretty much the whole fight. He did win all those rounds because with the cleaner punching and stuff like that, but those punches that were kind of keeping Gassiev at bay, and it was a lot of just clean jabs he was landing and stuff like that. But I mean, that's not gonna be enough to keep AJ off. Like I see AJ being hesitant. The first 3 rounds are gonna suck in this fight. It's gonna be a figuring out thing. Wallin will probably steal a few of those rounds just because AJ won't be throwing. He's had a tendency of doing that later on in his career, and I got no problem with that. I love a pure boxer. AJ is very far from a pure boxer, but it's what he's trying to do, and I love that because pretty much he just sits there and he's like, I'm not losing the rounds, and those kind of like toss up rounds that there's so many of them, it seems, in a lot of AJ's recent fights because there's just low activity. He tends to win those rounds because of who he is. And it's not going to change tonight. If there's toss-up rounds, they're not giving this fight to Otto Wallin. So Otto Wallin's going to have to win his rounds decisively. And I don't know that he can do that for 7 out of 12 rounds. I just don't think he can. I think if it goes to a decision, there could be a lot of controversy in the scoring because AJ probably will be hesitant. And I think it'll be a boring fight if it goes to a decision, no matter who wins. If Wallin wins, I think it'll be wide, and it's going to be boring as hell because AJ's not landing anything. And if it's wide for AJ will just if he goes to a decision, that means, he's kind of hesitant and he's just trying to preserve the Wilder fight. So if that happens, it happens, but that makes for a very boring night each way it goes to a decision. But I'm actually picking AJ to knock him out in probably like the 10th round or so. I just don't see I don't rate Wallin that high. He's got a lot of potential because we really haven't seen him in there with top competition besides the Tyson Fury fight. But my whole thing with that fight is like he gave Tyson Fury a tough fight, but Tyson Fury was very compromised with that fight. And you could say like, well, his punch was the thing that cut him. Yeah, but like I don't plan on that happening against a guy like AJ. And I rate AJ a level below Fury, but pretty much right up there, and much better than anybody else Wallin's beat. So, yeah, I just think AJ is going to be walking him down. That Gassiev fight with Wallin, I mean, Gassiev was walking down Wallin. It could have been the strategy for Wallin to just kind of sit off his back foot because he knew he could do that, all day with Gassiev, and he's not really afraid. He did get touched up a few times against Gassiev, but those punches weren't doing anything because Gassiev's a little dude. But it just bothered me the way that Gassiev was walking him down, and like Otto Wallin, like really at no point during the fight did he put his foot down and just step there and bang with Gassiev, which I think he should do because you're the one that's 6'6", and Gassiev's a light heavyweight or a cruiserweight. So he should have been able to do that at some point in this fight. But I mean, like I say with AJ, for what people called him being hesitant, it's being smart. So what Otto Wallin did was being very smart. But I mean, I'm just trying to look for paths to victory for him. I don't see any chance of a knockout. So it's very hard. I think AJ could outbox him very easily. I mean, because Wallin's not going to take any risks either. So if he's getting outboxed, he's going to sit there and just survive for 12 rounds. AJ will do the same thing if he's getting outboxed. So, yeah, what it comes down to really is just, like I said, AJ walking him down the whole fight, and eventually that right hand's going to land. And because I saw Gassiev land it many times, and, Gassiev's probably a better pure boxer. His hands are probably a lot faster than AJ. But the way Wallin was getting hit clean, I just didn't like what I saw. And I think AJ is going to eventually catch him. Scorecards will be close up to that, though, I think. I think it'll be a pretty close fight just because AJ he's just going to be hesitant. He's going to be hesitant. And but he knows what he's got, what he's going to be doing later on in the fight. So the whole fight will be kind of hesitant. I got this guy figured out. Now I'm going to step on the gas and I'm going to go knock him out. And I think that's what's going to happen. Like I said, we'll say round 10. But it's a good night of fight. It's a good night of fights, guys. I mean, it's all heavyweights. There should be plenty of knockouts on the undercards. They're all pretty much overmatched opponents. Like I'm not going to bother doing a prediction for like Felipe Hrgovic's fight or Frank Sanchez, even though Frank Sanchez should not be like a 25-1 favorite in his fight, but I mean those guys aren't going to lose. So, but it'll be a fun night, and this is a great fight for the main event, and hopefully we get to see Joshua Wilder. Let me know who you guys think's going to win this fight, and let me know who you guys think's going to win AJ versus Wilder too. Have a good one.